Greetings, Jideh for Shieldrum Records. Today is the release day for the Dub Siren rack number 1. So this is an instrument rack for Ableton Live. This is available pre-release on Patreon. So go onto Patreon from level 1 subscribers. Okay, and a bit later it will be available on GUMROAD, the Shieldrum Record shop for the racks and samples and things like that. So let's get back to that siren. So Dub Siren number 1 is a Siren and Echo combo based on the synth engine. No samples involved. So once mapped on your MIDI controller, get hands-on control to generate any typical Dub Siren sounds, a function to randomize parameters, a playlist, a preset list, sorry, and possibility to save and recall user preset. An onboard echo effects to uplift, add space, or add crazy echo tail to the siren sounds. Okay, it runs on Live 11 and above, and it has been developed on Live 11.3.42. Okay, so let's get into it. First, I will introduce the machine, and then we will go deeper in detail. So we have a lot of parameters, but not all of them to be assigned. It depends on your choice. Generally, Dub Siren have a fewer controls. So I set a copy and set in white the fewest control we could have on a Dub Siren. And most of the time, siren type, speed, and pitch are selector knob, meaning that we have only 3 or 4 positions. So 3 different pitch, 3 different speed, or 3 different siren type. Okay, we'll come into the mapping section at the end of this tutorial presentation. Let's get back to the Dub Siren number 1 release. So in the pack you will have also a user manual as a text file. So I set a text file with a few information for installation and a copy of the user manual. Describe the general machine and each macro knob, what they are doing. Okay, and this user manual is also directly on the machine. When you hover your mouse on the title bar, for example, you have a description in the info view at the bottom left. So, for example, on the title bar, we have Dub Siren number 1 is a siren and echo combo. Okay, triggering to trig the siren, assign a 1 switch to get trig, MIDI clip for momentary trig, and or 1 switch to toggle trig, clip for on-off trig. So this explains this part. As the siren is with a synth engine, I set 2 clip to trig the siren. So 1 momentary and 1 toggle. Okay. By the way, those 2 clips have been set for the launch section. One have been set to gate to have this gate trig, and the other one have been set to toggle to have this toggle trig. Okay. So what can I say for the trig? Yes, I set only 2. If you want more of them, for example, retrig this note, we could duplicate this gate trig and set the note an octave higher. Okay, and that way we have 2 tones accessible at the same time. But yeah, it was to explain you how the siren is triggered. Okay, so we assign this to a switch. Second, preset list. We have a preset list. We can scroll, select, save new, and it is all MIDI mappable. So the preset list is here. Okay. And I can have access to it. I have mapped those two arrows to go down and up the preset list. So let's listen some of the preset. So I select first the preset. Okay. So in simple tone. Okay, and the same here. So we have several ways to assign the selection of the presets. We can use two switch, or we can use also a knob to scroll. Okay, and all these have been mapped into the MIDI map mode, and you have a number here. Under this 20 is a number, and this is where we assign a knob or a fader if we want to scroll fast. Okay. And the other mapping for up and down on two switch are here. Okay. And to load the preset, there is another switch here. And the new can also be triggered, okay, to save another preset. For example, I can say I want this siren as a new preset. I have assigned this to this switch. Okay, and that way I have my new variation preset here. And the last thing concerning this part, yes, the last tips is to assign the random switch to your controller, okay? So on each rack in Ableton now we have a random switch. And this switch will randomize all the knobs here. I set all the knobs from the echo to avoid to be randomized, and we do this by right-clicking and exclude macro from randomization. That way, when I hit random, I only change the parameters of the siren, okay? To give you an idea. So for example, if this randomization is okay for me, I can save it by clicking new. And I have now my new preset here. Okay. So this one was early. And my new preset. Okay, and this is also, by the way, this is also the reason why I have set all those parameters on the front panel, because some of them will be assigned on a knob or switch, but all of them were needed to randomize the siren and make it sound as a siren each time we randomize. Sometimes there's some happy accident, but generally it gives you a siren sound. Okay, so this was for the general information of the siren. Now for each knob, you have to hover your mouse over each knob and it will give you the function of this knob, okay? So this is exactly the same manual as the text file, but yes, on board. So this first switch, knob, excuse me, but it has to be assigned on a switch. So this first knob is tone siren, and it decides if we generate a simple tone without modulation or if we design a siren. So when it's off, we have the tone. I will set this to off also. Okay, we have the simple tone. When we change the pitch, okay, and when it is switched on, it is modulated by the siren shape. Okay, so that's all for this switch. Yes, okay, 0 is off, 127 is on. Then we have siren tips. So siren tip will give us the several possibility of modulation of the tone, and we have 5 shape available: sample and hold. Saw down is like a ramp down, ramp up, triangle, and square. Okay, so let's demonstrate each of them. First, we will start by sample and hold. Okay, let's say that this modulation is a bonus on the siren. Generally, on siren, we have square, triangle, saw down, and saw up. But as I find this in this synth, I use this one also. So sample and hold will give you random tune depending on the depth of the modulation. The more you are far from, yes, you understand, the more you go to the max, and the more the random is wide in terms of pitch. Okay, so the two great thing with this one is when you hit like this, it make like L2 D2, but if you just trig it, you will have a different tone at each trig. Okay, so after that we have let's slow it down. So this is a saw down, then a saw up, then we have the triangle, and in last the square. Okay, so this is for the siren types, and I take care of writing in the info view the number, how I can say, that knob is numbered from 0 to 127. Okay, so each shape will use a portion of this. So for example, the sample and hold is 0 to 31, the saw down 32 to 52, etc. So this is useful, for example, if you wish to avoid sample and hold or avoid square, you can quickly go into the map section and select the siren type, for example here, and then you set the minimum and the maximum differently. If, for example, I don't want the sample and hold, I know that the first modulation after sample and hold is saw down, and it starts at 32. So I will set 32 here. Okay, in the siren type. Then I close this, and now my type selector will start with the saw down, and I will avoid the sample and hold one. Okay, so you can recalibrate that way your faders or knobs. Okay, so I will set it back where it was. Okay. Here we go. After that, we have the speed of the modulation. So this is simple. So if you want some long rising at a slow, okay? And then the depth knob will, yeah, this is the depth of the pitch modulation, in fact. Okay, the pitch quite explicit. And we have a fine tune also. If we want our siren to be tuned into the track, we will launch it. Okay, just an in between on a kind of real siren with few parameters. Generally, we don't have the fine tune. We just have the pitch, general pitch, and just some of them. Okay. So we see the speed. So you have to hover the title of each knob. When you hover under a writing, it don't work, just on the writing. Depth, we see this, the pitch and the fine tune, we just see this. And then we have two additional parameters. Here I set them in blue, and I set this one in blue too. When you'll get the plugin, this tone and siren will be that color, but now I set it in that color because it's directly linked with this pitch envelope. Okay, so the pitch envelope will occur even when the LFO is switched off. Okay, even when we are in tone mode. Okay, and the pitch envelope work that way. The percentage to pitch envelope is like 100% pitch up or 50% pitch down, okay? And the second button is at the same time on-off for the pitch envelope, where it is fully counterclockwise, it is off. And when you crank it, it will be the decay of that pitch envelope. So without the pitch envelope, here a tone, and when I add some, I have to add a percentage here. So let's just read quickly for it to be clear. Pitch envelope knob sets the pitch direction of a triggered siren when the knob, and I forget the rest, okay, when the knob is on another position than 0, okay. Let's write it quickly, edit info text. Okay, that's done. Quickly. And when on-off, decay is activated, of course. Okay. When this knob is set at 0%, no pitch modification from the pitch envelope, and this is what occurred just earlier. Pitch envelope knob and on-off decay knob are interrelated. And for the description of the second one, this activates and sets the decay time of the pitch envelope modulation. Set a value above 60 milliseconds to activate it, okay? And when you continue to turn, it will give you more and more decay. This knob has no effect if pitch envelope is at 0, okay. And pitch envelope knob on-off decay, those two knobs are interrelated. Okay, so let's go back to here. The tone without pitch modulation, and the tone with some pitch modulation taking 2 seconds to go back to its original tone. From high to low or from low to high. Okay, so this can give you some good thing, like for example, let's say we will set it to off, just as an example, quick example. We have the tone, we want that tone to be modulated, so we switch on the modulation. Okay, we will choose a speed for that modulation. Okay, and now even over that we can add a decay, a pitch envelope decay on this. So let's keep it at 50 and choose a very long time, like 20 seconds. Okay, another example. Okay, so the modulation of the pitch via the LFO is speed, and we have another change in pitch induced by the pitch envelope. Okay, for example. So yes, very, very practical and very good also if you want just some rising or falling. Okay, so this is the basic use of the pitch envelope, and you can add some more subtle move. Without the pitch envelope, we have a straight sound, but if we start to jolly into small amount of decay with a bit of pitch envelope, you see we have this a quick going from low to high. Okay, without and with. And I find out that this emulate some siren, which analog is not stable, and when you switch on the sound, sometimes it will take a little amount of time before being its tone. Okay, and of course, this combined with all other parameters will give us something different. By the way, all the preset lists have been made. For example, we have the lick shot sound, and working like that because of that pitch envelope, for example, and we have this square pitch down, also working with that pitch envelope if it's at 0 and with a bit of it. Okay, so on the controller I have it on a knob, and the pitch envelope is here. Okay, that's all for the siren here. Now we can go quickly into the echo. So by the way, greetings, the two dub heads in the chat room, David Moore and Jono Laikunte, greetings. So the second row is for the echo, same way. We have a lot of parameters because I had room for it. And these are for me the most useful in an echo. And if you have a few controls under the end, I guess the two to prioritize is the echo time and the feedback. Okay. But here we have all of them, so I will explain how work this echo. By the way, if you need it in another place in your set, you just have to open that track like this and copy the echo and paste it in another place into your DAW. Okay. By the way, into that track we have an EQ that will define the bandwidth of the siren. So I set it at 160. You can open it up if you want, But when you mix it with music, some of the siren, which can go very low, can cover a bit your kick or your bass if the siren is very loud. So you can open it and change the frequency or change your kind of EQ by doing a simple 80 lockout, like on a desk, and a little shelf down. Brief. You have an EQ if you want to sculpt it a bit more. So let's go back to our echo. We have time, feedback, modulation rate, modulation amount. Low cut, high cut, and we can add some verb, okay, and the dry rate. So here I have set the dry rate of my echo. Let's send a blip. Set my feedback on this fader. And then I have my time here. This one I can add the reverb. Okay. And above I have the tune up for the modulation. So this modulation will modulate the time of the siren. Okay. And the two last control are low cut and high cut. That way, if you want a sound, a more analog sound for the siren, you can have it that way. Or sending it into the high frequencies only. Okay, that echo can be can auto oscillate, but you can go crazy with it, even without triggering. Here I trigger something, but even without triggering, if you raise the feedback over 100 and you shorten the time, it will start to auto oscillate. Okay. So yes, this is the best companion for the siren, I guess. So let me check my checklist. We see the siren, save, random, design. We see this also. And then we will go into some mapping tips. Yes. I just set a bit of music for 30 seconds, and then we are back into, we will first make a sound quickly and save our sound, going from the default setup, just the tone, without anything else, and set a sound. And secondary, I will talk about some mapping tips that can be useful for this and also for other user cases. What is great when we save when we save some preset, also the echo parameters will be saved. The echo parameters position. I didn't go through all of them, but you can see in the info text I wrote also the behaviors of each knobs. Okay. So I map it on this controller in a wide way for it to be clear for you when you look at it. Like my echo and level are here with the echo parameter in red. And on this side, I have the parameters for the siren and the way I can scroll into the playlist of the siren. So let's go for a bit of sound and then I'll be back. So, okay, let's make a new preset. So first, I will go back to tone and choose that preset. That way we have a tone, a simple tone. Let's get the music. So first we will choose our pitch, which pitch we want that tone. Let's say that one. Okay, we choose the tone. Now we will choose the shape of modulation. For example, here I choose the shape and the speed of the modulation. Now I choose the depth of the modulation. Okay, and now I will choose if I add some pitch envelope at the launch of the siren. Okay, so something like that. But let's set it in square. Okay, let's say this is a preset. I just have to press here and it will add a new preset. So you're not obliged to rename it, but you can rename it. And okay, that's done. Let's set a second siren quickly for you to get the process. So we select tone. We are at 0. We choose the tone. The siren type, the speed, the depth. Okay, that one. And I think that's all. Okay, save. And what you can also do is generate something random. And from that you will modify it slightly. And we could change the parameter of the echo also. By the way, when you shut down the feedback, it will also switch off the echo. Oh, sorry, it's not with the feedback, it's with the dry wet. When the dry wet parameter is at 0, it will switch off the echo effect. So it can be interesting when you launch some very long siren and you have a lot of feedback. And you want to switch it off. Okay? Like you will empty the feedback loop by put it in full down, okay? At 0%. Okay, so let's say this is or 20, and we save. To come back on the echo, something interesting we can do with the modulation part is to do a siren without the siren, just with the echo. So what you will do for this, you will crank up the feedback, or you trigger small burst if you want a precise speed, or you will make it, and you don't want to auto oscillate. So yes, we need a small burst of something first, okay? Then you crank up the feedback. Set it as a tone, and you add some modulation to this. Okay, it could have been more quick, but this is the kind of way. Yes, we have it. Yeah. And you will have a better sound when the filters are fully open, okay? Because there's no filtering and the feedback is more stable. Okay, so you can play also only with that feedback echo. And I can save it, and normally if I change, it will shut down the echo to the next preset. So the actual preset is here. And if I choose another preset, it will shut down the echo. So this is how we design and save. Now, some other way to assign your parameters. Let's say this is a second way. I duplicated this siren, okay, and set in white the minimal parameters setting, okay. So if you have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and if we count the triggers, 8 controllers. But yeah, and another way to set them. So here I have this knob for the gate trig. This switch is this switch for the gate trig. This switch for the toggle, and this switch for the toggle 1 octave higher. Okay. I have the possibility to switch on tone and siren, or switch it off. Okay, and for the other parameters, for example, for the pitch, I have assigned those 4 switch here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 to different pitch. Okay, that way it emulates the real world siren, you know, with just some switch or a selector. Okay, so how you do this kind of things? I did the same also for the siren shape. Okay. And I did the same for the siren speed. Okay, and the way you map several switch to the same knob is simple. You will do this into the MIDI map, select your parameter, and you have to verify on your controller that the note numbers of each pad are successive. For example, here, I can't remember where it starts, so I will. Okay, it starts at note A and it ends at C3. So, for example, this is A sharp, B, and C. Okay, so you have to have some group of knobs that are with successive notes. On this controller, I have 4 successive notes here, 4 here, 4 here, 4 here. If you want more than 4, you will go into the your software manager from your controller, and you will make sure that you have some successive note. And now, the way I assign this, I will click on the parameter. For example, let's say the pitch, because this is the pitch here. And I will click the first switch and hold and click the last switch. Okay. And that way it will map. When you follow this switch knob, this is the first switch, second, third, and fourth. Okay. So in the same way, I have set the same for the siren tip. Okay. And as I have only 4 switch and there's 5 shape into the siren, I reduce the starting point of that knob. Okay, I reduce it to 4 of them, starting at 32 in the MIDI message, which means I have saw down, saw up, and triangle and square, something you can read on the info view on bottom left. Okay, so you assign a number of successive notes or controller switch, and then you can recalibrate it. And what I did, sorry, also for pitch, so to see where it is in this big list, you will select the controller. Same way, I recalibrate from 30 to 102. It was first at 0 and 108. Okay, that way I find that those 4 speed that it gives me in this bandwidth of knobs are those who please me. Okay. Okay, and that way you can test this mapping on a copy of your siren. It gives you quick access with fixed speed, with everything more fixed, and to have an experience a bit closer than the original one. The difference with the original mapping here, it's you have no fixed value. So if you want to imitate fixed value on the original one, okay, fixed value, for example, of speed, you know that full clockwise or up is the maximum, you have the minimum here, so you will go like this with some hard mode. And for the pitch, the same. Okay. The two are interesting, in fact. For those who work in Ableton 12, there's a pack of MIDI controllers from IFTA. This is a free pack which come with Ableton 12, and we can go a bit more, let's say, customize a bit more the thing, because with IFTA pack we can put it in between the MIDI of Ableton and one controller. For example, tell that speed button to have only some fixed value, 3 or 4 or 5 or even more fixed value for the speed. So we can update it for the 12. I mean, it's a possibility, not very useful for now, but I think this will be the subject of an upgrade of this. Okay, so I think I told about everything about the Siren and a few side tips. So yeah, you'll find it in on Patreon for sure. And give thanks for sharing and like, and you can also comment and add your question. And it's already available. It's 1st June, and we are 1st June. So a silent demo for the end, and I'll see you on the next close presentation when the dub preamp will be out. It is already out for Patreon, and we did a live, 2 live, one live in French and another in English, a long live explaining the machine. But I guess I will do another shorter video explaining each part of the preamp. And yes, so preamp also available pre-release on Patreon. So give thanks everyone. See you into the next one. Dub salute. By the way, off screen, this is the preamp.